Happy Friday, everybody. I hope everyone's having a good week. Hope you joined us at Zapcon. I know the thing said register for Zapcon. Look, the graphics department's real busy. We had a lot of stuff going on this week. Zapcon. If you were at Zapcon, I hope you had a good time. I hope you enjoyed the content. I hope you learned a ton. If you registered for Zapcon and you didn't get to attend, remember, all the sessions are available in replay out on Hopin. So you have like a month to log in and watch those sessions. We're working on getting those videos up on YouTube here on the YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon below, and give us some likes on the videos. If you subscribe and hit the bell icon, you will know when the new Zapcon videos come up, when I do a new live stream, when all that stuff. So it's a good idea to subscribe, and then make sure you hit the bell icon, ding noise, so that you get notifications when new stuff comes up. Today we were gonna talk about Log4Shell. We're gonna talk about Log4Shell anyway. We're gonna talk about Log4Shell and Log4j and all the technology you can use. Excuse me. I know this is an old thing. I know it's a thing that was like December, and people are like, "Man, don't rehash this. Don't bring." I'm traumatized. I'm traumatized from December. Don't make me relive this trauma. Okay, I won't. Maybe a little bit. Hopefully, we'll walk through some stuff and we'll talk about some technology and why this technology is important in this whole application security lifecycle. Hopefully, I'll give you a little bit of information about what's going on there. And maybe you got some questions. If you're out there watching the stream live, give me a thumbs up in the chat. Give me a, hey, what's up? It's Friday. Today's March. What day is it? March 11th. Drive to Survive is dropping today. So if you're not already watching Drive to Survive, get hyped with me. We're watching Drive to Survive. I can't wait to see all the good stuff about the different race teams, Mercedes and Red Bull specifically, and what kind of the messed up stuff that happened during the season. See what the background is on all that stuff. I want to see Toto freak out a little bit. I kind of want to see it. So that should be a good time. I'm looking forward to that. Let's see. What else? What other things? Oh, hi. I'm Scott Gerlach, CSO, co-founder here at StackHawk. StackHawk is an application security company focused on dynamic application security testing, proudly built on top of the Z attack proxy. So that's why we talk about, in this particular stream, we talk about application security, we talk about Zap, we talk about F1 racing. We're talking about stuff. We're talking about things. And hopefully you're finding some good information here, finding some useful content. Love to keep updating everybody. Kind of talking about semi-relevant stuff. So today we're talking about Log4Shell a little bit and how that whole attack kind of works. I'm working on setting up some stuff here for us so that we can kind of walk through some Log4Shell information, walk through our good friend Java Spring Volney and some of its things. And then we'll talk about some out-of-band security testing. If you did not see Akshat's talk at Zapcon, Akshat did a great talk. He worked on out-of-band security testing and the Log4Shell detection rule for Zap. He gave a great talk at Zapcon about all the options you can have in Zap and how that works. We're in the middle of launching a beta detection engine for Log4Shell with StackHawk, so I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. I want to talk about just out-of-band security testing, and we're definitely going to talk about SCA as well, because these tools are powerful when they're used together. So let's get into a little. What are we talking about? What are we working on here? So hang on a second. Let me set up my little screen here. Trying something new. I'm gonna try a live whiteboard for you here, and it should be interesting. I think we can get it done. But of course, I gotta do. Sometimes security guy gets in the way of security guy. You know what I mean? Gotta get myself logged into all these things. Ready. I know it's boring. I'm over here typing. You can't even see what I'm doing. Boring. Oh my god. Boring. I'm not very well set up today. It's been, like I said, busy week. We had a great time over at Zapcon, so. I multi-factored my way. Oh. All right. Hey, look, man. If you're not using multi-factor on your stuff or like your root stuff, you should turn on some multi-factor. Hang out with it. Hang out with us. Like, experience some of the multi-factor fun times. Nah, multi-factor is good, especially when you can use kind of least intrusive multi-factor. That's always a good thing. All right. I don't know, man. I'm just trying to be like, trying to have some fun. If you're not having fun, what are you doing? Gotta have fun. Gotta have fun in life. That's all there is to it. Yes, here we go. Hey, we're whiteboarding. We're whiteboarding now. Here we go. All right. Okay. Let's talk about Log4Shell. Let's talk about DAST a little bit. So DAST is dynamic application security testing. We've talked about this a couple different times when we talked about Zap last Friday, the Friday before. We're gonna talk about DAST a little bit, and we're gonna talk about why DAST is important, but we're gonna talk about how DAST and the Log4j problem go together, or don't, or do. But let's get into some basics here first. Step one, we've got a running application somewhere, right? So we've got an application here, and we'll call that app. And maybe this app actually has an API back here. REST API, GraphQL API, whatever that is, right? So maybe these two things are talking to each other, but ultimately this thing is an application. Now we know the Log4Shell problem exists in like this layer here, where there's a logging function, and that logging function had a problem with how it intercepts or how it interprets different versions of Java strings and Java LDAP lookups and JNDI. JNDI is what that's called. So to be able to, when you do SCA, you've got some kind of a manifest list out here, right? So you've got a Maven or a Palm or a Gradle, something like this. And in that, in Maven, Gradle, Palm, what you're talking about is you've got like version 1 of something. I'm just kind of making this up, right? Version 1 of something. Here we go. Oh, is it? Nope. Yep. Nope. Too big. Okay. And specifically in this particular thing, you've got, I need to use module log4j greater than 2. Or probably in this case, we're probably pinned. So we're probably equal to 2.0. Now, we can talk about this whole log4j or log4Java, but that's been debated to death. So let's not. Okay, let's not talk about that. We're gonna get rid of all this stuff. All right, we're not talking about that. What we are gonna talk about is how this turns into a thing. So in SCA testing, what SCA is doing is looking at this section here. And there's a database out here somewhere that's like a vuln database. vulndb. Pardon my terrible handwriting. I suck at handwriting. vulndb has a database of known vulnerabilities out there. And this is known CVEs, which is different than the kind of vulnerabilities that a dynamic scanner looks for. But this is like a published common vulnerability exploit, I think. CVE. It's a known exploit of a system published to a central database. So in here you've got log4j equal 2. I can't remember the exact version. We'll just make something up. 2.1 has an RCE in it. So what SCA is doing, it's sitting down here making decisions based on this information, looking at this, looking at our packages file, referencing this database, and then saying, hey, you got a problem because you're using the wrong version of log4j. And then it says, and the good ones then say, upgrade to v2.2. For example. That's not necessarily the right version in this particular exploit, but this is just generally how SCA works. Now that is super good information. Knowing that your packages are out of date and there's known vulnerabilities is super valuable information. And if you have an SCA that's telling you about these things and it's saying, hey, you can upgrade this, and you have good test suites to be able to run through unit tests and functional tests, and you can easily upgrade your packages, you should do that. You should keep yourself up to date so that when a big problem that actually affects you comes out like this, and you have to do regression testing, it's not such a major jump. It's not such a major upgrade to like bump a version, bump a minor, bump maybe even a major, because of how you're using it, and you're kind of keeping up and keeping that tech debt down. That's that. That's if you have good testing and test suites and being able to go, okay, I'm going to run this PR, upgrade this library, and if my test suites fail, I got a different topic to talk about. If that happens, the next step on SCA is then talking with maybe the security team or the engineering team and going, can't, because it broke the tests. Now the question is, wow, here we go. Am I using in a vulnerable way? So now each of these exploits has a particular way that it gets exploited. that particular way it gets exploited may or may not be exposed in how you're doing your, how you're using that module. And that's sometimes tough to tell. Sometimes tough to say, oh, wow, it's going to take me a while to go through this code and go, am I using Log4j in a way that takes user input directly and pumps it out to a log file or whatever that is. And this is where DAST can help. So DAST can help in this particular version by doing this. So we're talking about API or app SCA here. We've got our little app, and we're gonna go again. I'm a terrible. My handwriting's terrible. I type all day. I can barely read. It's sad. So we've got our app and that API and whatever's going on here. We've got SCA that just said, hey, you're using a vulnerable package. You should upgrade that vulnerable package. So now what we're going to do is go, am I using that package in a way that is vulnerable? Really hard. It's kind of hard to know that and know it quickly. Again, here's where DAST can help. Now let's talk about DAST. So you've got DAST over here and you've got a scanner. The way DAST works is it interacts with this application in a way like a user would. So it's sending requests to the app. Oops. Wow, geez. Here we go. REQ. It's even sending HTTP requests. Sending HTTP requests to the application. Now, when the application gets that request, it processes it in however it's supposed to do and sends a response to the DAST scanner, like a client. So now you've got an HTTP response. If that response contains some kind of information that says, hey, if we try to inject cross-site scripting, we try to send a payload about cross-site scripting to the app, and then you've got something going on in the app, and the app processes it and it reflects that back. Reflected cross-site scripting, stored, SQL injection, those kinds of things. You can usually tell that by the HTTP response. Now, this is how a normal DAST scanner works. This particular thing, this Log4Shell thing, is what's called a third-party vulnerability or an out-of-band problem, right? So the particular problem we're dealing with here, I'm gonna make I feel like I need that UPS guy. Remember the UPS guy who could just like whip out cool whiteboard stuff? I don't know where he is, what he's doing, but good on him. Third-party, out-of-band. So out-of-band testing means you can send an HTTP request like we have here to the app, and then the app does this. You've got this is just like, wow. Third party. And the app then goes, hey, I need to make a request to you. So in out-of-band or third-party security vulnerability, a client, or DAST scanner or client, sends an HTTP request. That request triggers, this is basically remote code execution, right? Triggers a request from the application to another box, to that third-party box. And so that is a little bit different in how you would actually test for this. So how you would actually test for this particular problem is what we kind of refer to as out-of-band security testing. Some out-of-band security testing, and we'll talk about this a little bit, is a little bit different than other out-of-band security testing because some of the delays can be really long. So if I sent, let's rabbit hole a little bit. If I send a test to this application, and that application is a cross-site, let's say it's cross-site scripting problem. The application's not vulnerable to it, but it sent a log request over here. And then we actually pump that log data over to, let's say it's an elk server or something, right? Some other thing where we're processing and looking at logs, which you can't see because I haven't scrolled. now there's cross-site scripting over here, and this person over here is on their laptop. Let's see, laptop. Ooh, that's not a bad laptop. You can't see it. Look at that guy with his laptop. And he's looking at this Elk server, and he gets an XSS here. So that's kind of that out-of-band test, right? I've got out-of-band cross-site scripting now because I can send an HTTP request to my app. That app logs it to some log store, gets imported into my Elk stack or my whatever stack that is, right? And then some end user comes and looks at it and makes a squiggly mess over here that's supposed to be an arrow because, you know, again, drawing, it's a problem. He starts looking at these logs and gets XSS popped on him. Now what we can do is we could steal session cookies from this user here, from this guy. We could steal cookies. We could do all kinds of stuff and send that out to attacker server. So that's like that long tail out-of-band security test that's a little harder to test for. The one that we're talking about here with Log4j is pretty quick. It's a pretty fast test, and that's what makes it nice, so that you can actually test for it, and you can test for it in a fast fashion and get feedback fast in a CI/CD system, or during a test while you're testing some code on your laptop while you're writing it, wherever you want to test it, right? So the feedback loop is very fast in this particular attack. So we're gonna move some of this stuff around here. So hold on. I need this thing, and I'm gonna do this, and I'll move these guys up here, and now we're gonna keep drawing because hey, it's fun. Okay, so in out-of-band security testing land, the thing that we need is that third party. So we need something like this. And in Zap, this is called a Boast server, I think. The black box out-of-band security testing, something like that. I don't like that name. Doesn't have enough Hawk stuff in it. So we've got actually a host server, because it's HawkScan out-of-band security testing. So this is our little server that's listening for requests. Now, when we do DAST scanning, and we're looking for out-of-band security problems, the client sends an HTTP request down here. That, if the service is vulnerable, and especially in the Log4j instance, what's going to happen is the application is now going to make a DNS lookup to our host server. Oh my God, the puns are amazing here at StackHawk. Hey, if you're good at puns, you want to come work with a bunch of punny people, check it out. StackHawk.com/drops. Anyway, makes a DNS request to this out-of-band, this host server. Now, what the DAST scanner is going to do is keep checking in and keep going. Hey, anything? And it's going to keep asking the host server. And again, this is one of the reasons why this particular test is really good, because it's fast. It's going to go, hey, host server, did you see any activity that actually step back? The DAST scanner down here, the very first thing it's going to do is go, hey, host server, I'm going to start a test. Give me some individual credentials that I can pass through that you'll know if you see it, it was because I did it. So it's going to ask for those credentials first. And then it's going to make that HTTP request. The app, if it's vulnerable, is going to pass a DNS and maybe an LDAP lookup or HTTP request out to this host server. The DAST scanner itself is going to go, hey, host server, we talked about that thing. Remember? Did you see anything? Have you seen anything, activity registered with that information? And eventually, the host server is going to go, yep. And the DAST scanner is going to go, yay. But also, oh no, that's not good. And then it'll raise an alert, right? So this is exactly how that works. So that's how out-of-band security testing works. We're launching a beta feature at StackHawk. So again, Zap has this testing available because of how this works. Took a little time to build out some infrastructure, think about how people would use it. We're launching a beta feature. So if you want to participate in the StackHawk beta for out-of-band security testing for Log4Shell, so that you can combine your SCA information that says, hey, you're using a vulnerable version of Log4Shell. I don't know if I should upgrade it. Should I upgrade it? Test it. You can test it with DAST now. Get that information back into the StackHawk dashboard, tagged specifically with Log4Shell, and then be able to go, you know what? We actually found a vulnerability here. We should for reals test it. So that's some of the information that we're working on. I was really hoping we would have a demo that we could kind of play through today. We're a little behind. We ran into a snag here, ran into a snag there. But that beta should be ready to go probably later today, just later than the live stream. So we'll keep working on it, and more announcements will come out about that. Let's see. Hold on. I'm digging around, trying to figure out where we are at the products level. La, 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 la. Bummer. No demo today, but we can talk about SCA again. So once again, here's our good friend Java Spring Vulny. Also, if you're watching along live and you got questions about what are you drawing, dude, what are you drawing? Shoot me a question in the chat. If you're watching this later, pre-record, you got a question, hit a comment down in the chat down there. Also, once again, don't forget to hit the bell and the subscribe button so you know when more stuff has come out, like when we publish the really cool Zapcon videos. All right, I'm going to walk through some more stuff. Here's how this is going to work. Here is my regular StackHawk YAML configuration file for our app. This is the regular configuration file. Includes stuff like how to log into our application, our Java Spring Vulny application, how to what are the cookie authorization test path. We've talked about a bunch of this stuff before. We talked about this last week actually in how to do authenticated scanning with Zap, which I totally broke, and then how to do authenticated scanning with StackHawk.yaml or with StackHawk. Here's the cool thing. The StackHawk scanner allows you to do YAML overlays. Now, YAML overlays are really interesting because I can have all of this information stored right here, and then I can add one more file and set up Log4Shell. Oh, wow. How about Log4Shell? Not Log Money Show, Log4Shell. That's unfortunate. This particular policy is all that you need to trigger the Log4Shell scanner. Now, the Log4Shell scanner is a little bit different. We're not certain how it performs on, again, we're in beta here, right? Not certain how it performs on applications, so we wanted to separate that from normal scanning so we don't blow up people's pipelines and all that stuff before we get feedback. So again, if you want to participate in the beta at StackHawk.com, get you into the beta, get you to test it, get you some feedback, make this a really cool feature. So being able to go, in this case, I can just do a HawkScan with my CLI, or in Docker land, Docker run, StackHawk HawkScan, say StackHawk.yaml, which is actually this file here. So StackHawk.yaml space StackHawk space dash Log4Shell.yaml. Those two things will combine and override. So basically what this will do when the scanner grabs a hold of it is take this information and go boom. Now I could have done that in that one file, but maybe I don't want to run that every time and I want to run a regular scan. So that's what that overlay feature is really handy for. So that's how that's going to work. We've got some special key indicators in the UI that help make it clear that we're talking about Log4Shell. And I think that's it. That's it about Log4Shell. Again, did I say this is already in Zap? Good question. Zap does have out-of-band security testing available for it. So you know what? Let's see if we can make that work. I know Akshat did a really good talk about this at Zapcon on Tuesday this week. Again, that'll be live on YouTube here. So that's what the bell and the subscribe's all about. That'll be live on YouTube, so you can rewatch Akshat, his talk about that in Zap. But let's take a look and see if we can make this just work in Zap while we're working on our little app here. So again, I've got Java Spring Volney going here. I've got a link down in the description to the repository that has Java Spring Volney. So you should be able to pull down that repository and do the same kind of testing I'm doing here. Let's see if we can make this work. So very first thing I'm going to do is make sure you guys have an updated version of what we're talking about. It's okay that this is small. You don't necessarily need to see it yet. Okay. Now the setup is all up on GitHub. I wanted to make sure everyone was current. Let's open Zap. Z attack proxy. I'm going to do this off of memory and see how terrible it is, but we're going to learn together. Good question. Thanks for asking. All right. I've got my Zap fonts all blown up as I learned in our okay, right. I got Zap fonts all blown up as I learned in our webinars at Zapcon the other day, and I actually need to change the dimensions on this now because we've done such a good job of making it huge. Voila. All right, so now you can see Zap. First thing we're going to do, we're going to go do our manual explore. We've got our HTTPS. You know what? We're going to localhost 9000 and launch browser Firefox. Okay, the provided browser wasn't found. Interesting. Wait a second. What happened? Huh. It did pop Firefox. It just didn't do what. All right. Look, weird things happen when you do stuff live. Firefox. And then also spell localhost correctly. Start all over. Here we go. Yay! I'm in Java Spring Volney. Real quick setup on Java Spring Volney. If you pull down Java Spring Volney, you should have the code running in some kind of directory wherever you pull that down to. There are two things you should be able to do. One, Java Spring Volney has a Docker Compose file in it. So if we look at Docker, actually, I don't know why we're looking at it in that screen when we have it right here. If you look at Docker Compose, there are two services here. One is the Java Volney and one is the DB. Those two things need to be running for this app to work. Obviously, I'm running, maybe not obviously. I am running Java Spring Volney from my IDE here. You don't have to do that. You can Docker Compose up this whole service and it'll just run in the background. So you can do either one, right? But if you do from the IDE like I'm doing here, you need to bring the database up. So from here you can go Docker Compose, and I've already done this, so I'll down it. How that? Docker Compose down DB. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's, yep, That's what I wanted to do. Docker compose, and I think our app should not be working at this point. Well, that's not right, is it? So fun. All right, Docker compose was over here. Docker compose down db. How about just the whole thing? There we go. Crazy. All right, so none of my Docker instances are running now, and we can see that because my searches are not running anymore. They're no longer searchable. I'm sure I'm throwing all kinds of errors over here because the database isn't available. So in the case where you pull down this code and you want to get the database up, you just do a docker compose. Oops, I did it twice. Up. And then I can say db. So in Docker Compose, you can up the entire thing that's in the Docker Compose file or pieces of it. So in this particular case, I'm just going to up the db. And I'm going to throw a -d at it for detach or daemonize, however you want to think about that. Run it in the background. Docker Compose up. If I put the -d in the right place, like that. There we go. Docker Compose up -d db. That'll bring up our database. So that's our PostgreSQL database in the background. Our application should be able to search now. Let's see. I might have to restart it. Yeah, I'm going to have to restart it. Yep. Okay. So come back here and restart our app, which totally crashed because of bad things with the database. When you make the database disappear, bad things happen. So we'll restart the application. Now we've got our application up. You can actually see it does some database seeding, so that's good. Our username for Java Spring Volley is user, and the password is, it's creative. Password. Yeah, thanks. I saw it, localhost. Thanks for letting me know in the chat. I love it. So now we've got our database up. We've got items to search for. We've got all that good stuff. We did cook in some other specialty things in Java Spring Volley. We've talked about some of the other things, SQL injection, cross-site scripting in this app before, which you can also find with both tools. But now that we've done this kind of exploring and messing around here, Zap should have a thing that says, here's our local host. And we're going to include this in the default context. Say OK. And then we're going to hide all the sites that we're not targeting. You can see we have a login and a search page. Now, let's do this. OAST. So what I did here was click the little plus sign to get into OAST. OAST. That's why it's host. Hey. Anyway. So now in our OAST configuration, we can let's see, which one do we want to use? Boast or interact sh? Let's see, boast. Sure, let's try this. Let's see if that works. Yes. All right, so we're going to use boast. So we're in the OAST settings in Zap. Under general, we're going to say we're going to use boast. On the boast tab, we're just going to register with the boast server, which gives us a payload and a canary. Remember those little key tokens that I said Zap will register with so that it knows if things are happening? This is it. This is where it is. So we've got that. Yep, that's fine. Okay. Now we're gonna do one test. So we're gonna focus our test and attack and active scan. Actually, before we do that, let's do a spider. Let's spider this app, see what we can find. So there's more things than we looked at, but there are interesting things here. So let's see. We've got payloads. Interesting. Okay, there's lots of payloads. All right. Those are only available via auth. Now the scanner can see them. Great, great. Scanner knows what's going on. We talked about how to make Zap do authenticated scanning last week, which I broke, and I haven't had time to sync up with Simon so that I can actually show you the right way to do it. We'll see. Maybe we get to it at the end. But we're going to run the Log4Shell test now. So we're going to do an attack, right-click, attack, active scan. And we're going to do show advanced options. Default context, so we stay on localhost. We're going to go to our policy, and we are going to say apply default off threshold to all the rules. So we turned off all the rules. And now we want to go, uh-oh, where'd it go? Where does that live? Injection? Hang on, hang on. I'll get us there. Uh-oh. To the marketplace, my friends. To the marketplace. All right, so we click the little marketplace icon here. If you're following along, it's up here in the top. See my mouse there? Up here in the top, marketplace. And let's see, log. Over here at marketplace. Wapalizer, Wapalizer. Log in, log out. Nope. Oh no. Don't I feel like a sucker? Stalled. Active scan rules. Active scan beta. Yep, OAST support. OS support is installed. Okay. Great, great. Active scan rules beta. E-scan rules. Where's my alpha E-scan rules? But that's what I'm missing. A-scan rules alpha. XSS rule. All right. Let's install the A-scan rules alpha. Again, Log4Shell is in the A-scan rules. I think we can go look, but I think the Log4j test is in the A-scan rules alpha. So let's install that particular plugin. And we'll get out of here and we will go to our policy test policy thing here, policy configuration. We're going to call this policy Log4Shell. We're going to turn off everything, and we are going to go to out of band XSS. We'll do that later, maybe. Voila! You have to install A-scan rules alpha to get the Log4Shell test. So don't forget, if you're teching this on Zap, go to the marketplace and install A-scan rules alpha. So we're going to set the threshold to this to medium. It's obviously an alpha rule. So this is, again, why it's beta in the StackHawk product, because it's going to take some testing. So now the only thing we have turned on here is Log4Shell. Everything else is turned off. So one thing in, oh man, where did it go? Here we go. In miscellaneous. It's turned on, and that's set at the medium strength. So now we have a policy called Log4Shell. So let's now go to attack, active scan. We're going to choose, oh, of course, Of course, it doesn't get pulled over. All right. All right. Take it easy. Policy, miscellaneous. Actually, everything's off. Miscellaneous. Yep. Cancel. I know what I'm going to have to do, and it's going to drive me bonkers. There we go. All right, so our Log4Shell policy came across to our attack menu. Now I've got Log4Shell turned on, miscellaneous. You can see Log4Shell is turned on. We're only going to test for Log4Shell. That's the only thing we're testing for. You can see we're trying to log in. We're trying to hit the search button. I'm probably going to have to fix the, let's see, where do we got for alerts? All kinds of alerts going on here because our passive scan policies. So we can go fix that as well. So passive scan rules. We're going to set those to off as well. So we turned off all of our passive scan rules. Get out of here, you alerts. I just want to look for one specific thing. Our active scan is going. I'm going to have to... Yep, I'm going to have to configure authenticated scanning. Okay. We're going to do authenticated scanning. Because this, where we kind of cook this in is in the search items. Because that's behind auth, we actually have to do auth. So, let's see if we can get auth to work. HTTP sessions. Here's our session ID. Great. Okay, so on the login page, that's where we actually log in. So we're going to do include flag as context, and this is form-based auth login request. Reset. We're going to go do authenticated scanning with Zap today, and I hope I can get it to work right. So I can show you how Log4Shell detection works in Zap. Step 1, configure Zap to do authenticated scanning. Back to the show. Very first thing we have to do, Zap, you have to tell Zap how to log into an application. So what we're going to do here is we've got our default context set up. Our default context contains all the rules about what we're doing and the configurations for what we're doing. We included in context localhost 9000. That's where our application is running. We can also tell it a lot of different stuff, technology, authentication users. We'll get to that. Here we go. We've got our app running. We opened up a browser with Zap and we're scrolling around in it. That's why it knows about all this stuff. It saw me log into the app, so it knows that this particular thing is a login and takes a CSRF token, a username and a password. We're going to flag this as context. Flag this as form-based auth login request in Zap. So right click on the URL, flag as context, form-based auth request. So now it knows we are doing form-based auth. The login form is at login. No, sorry. Where the form goes is at /login. The form itself is at login. The username parameter is called username. And the password parameter is called password. And this value right here, as we discovered last week, we're going to hit OK here. And we're going to go back to default context. So now there's a little door here. A little door right there. So it knows that this is an entry point. Go back to default context. You can see, why did it do that? Come on, Zap. What are you doing to me? Username, password. Okay. Go back. There we go. I think it'll work like this. We're going to try it. So what Zap did there is go, the username equals username and the password equals password. So variables it will fill out when we give it context. Excuse me. Wow. We're also I'm going to cheat here because I don't want to do this again. If you want to look at why we do this, go check out last week's video. I'm totally cheating here. I have logged in, logged out indicators, and we're just going to use them. So my logged in indicator is the sign in button, or the sign out button, right? There's a sign out button over here if you're logged in. And my regex pattern to identify logged out messages, again, I'm cheating, is this regex right here. So if we look at this response, you can see we got 302 because we weren't logging in, and it sent us to localhost / wait a second. I'm gonna have to look at that again. So what we're saying is it's going to send us back to login / login if we're not authenticated. That's that. Let's set up a user here. This is not a user, so let's modify him. Oh, you click under, and we're going to call him the user, and we're going to enable him, and his username is username, if you remember, and his password is password, if you remember, which is a terrible password. Don't do that. I should change his password to don't use password. Okay, so we've modified it. We have that user now. Our forced user session is going to be the user. Session management is cookie-based session management. Obviously, this JSession ID is super important to this Java application. So we know that. We're going to set that. Now let's try our active scan again. Attack, active scan. We are using our Log4Shell policy. Our scope is default context. Our user is the user. Do we have to change any of this other stuff? We should not have to. Go. Let's look at the history and see what it did. No, it's logging in over and over and over again. We did it wrong again. Oh, God. Post the login, the request. CSRF. Do. Let's try it again. See what it does with our logins. History. Search, response, search, sign out. Ooh, our authentication worked. See, we got the sign out button here. Let's see what's going on with our active scan. Made a post to search. What did we post? Search text. Uh-oh. We got some search text going on here, and it's JNDI stuff. Let's see, what did we respond with? HTTP 200. Sign out button. Find items called JNDI. Ooh. Let's go over here, see what we got. Boast is running. We have... Look at all these canaries we're making here. Awesome. Poll? Nothing? Maybe? Our active scan is done. I have misconfigured something. What you can see we're doing here is injecting this JNDI stuff into the search form. So it actually looks like this. So you can see we're searching for this JNDI. Here's this thing. Let's see what we got way down in our logs. You can see our SQL query came in like this. I'm not sure exactly where that happens. Maybe I didn't trigger it correctly. But that is how you actually set up out-of-band security testing in Zap. And authentication. We got authentication to work. Yay. Let's see if we can make other stuff happen. Here we go. We're going to use the default policy, and we're going to scan. And we're probably going to log ourselves out again, because we probably want to go log in. Nope. Let's see. Log in. Definitely feeding stuff back to the application, as you can see. So that's a good deal. There's some more searches for JNDI information. Oh boy, we got problems. Hey everybody. Hey everybody. We got authenticated scanning working by doing the exact same thing we did last week, and it changed. So that's good. All right. So we've got alerts. We've got SQL injection all over the place. Cross-site SQL injection. I must not know how this OST problem works in this particular app, because it looks like we're about done. See what's going on in our progress. We're down here in backup file disclosure, integers, making our way down here. We're going to have this out-of-band XSS run this time in Log4Shell, because we included all the alpha rules. Don't forget, if you're trying to do this, go to the marketplace, download the ASCAN rules alpha, active scan rules alpha, so you get all the alpha rules as well. And we're almost done with our scan. We can see all the alerts if we close this box or just move it. Tons and tons of alerts. Uh-oh. Hey, look what happened. All right, what happened over here? You can oh, good for me. I knew how to do it, right? You can see we've actually got OAST, request responses, from our Log4Shell tests that we're running. And we have alerts for Log4Shell. So good for us. Over here in our OAST panel in Zap, you've got DNS name server lookup. So you can see that happen. And then a triple A or quadruple A record and A record, name servers, all DNS stuff, right? So what happened was the scanner sent a request, the request that we saw there. Let's see if we can actually look at this alert. As a post to the search page. So here's what the application sent. Sent the CSRF token. Remember, Zap will just handle the CSRF token all by itself because it's smart. And then it's sending in the search text this JNDI information. So it actually did this, right? It did exactly what I'm about to do here. I went to here and I pasted some information here and did that. That's exactly what the scanner did. And what happened was, our DAST scanner, Zap in this case, made a request to our app. Our app made a DNS lookup to our Boast server. So we were actually using Boast. Made a DNS lookup to our Boast server because we had registered previously some tokens and canaries. These tokens and canaries that you can see here, payloads and canaries. That's a lot of information. You can see that because we registered that, and then we made the app make a DNS request out to the Boast server in this case. And then this Zap scanner checked in and said, hey, did you see any requests about what happened here? And the Boast server said, yeah, I sure did. I saw some DNS activity and I saw some other DNS. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. So the Zap scanner was like, oh, okay. Well, in that case, we will generate an alert. Thank you. And that, my friends, is how you can get from, do I have to upgrade Log4J to the new version? And included in here is Log4J 2.15 was incorrect. So update to Log4J 2.17.1 or newer. So again, SCA is looking at our Palm file or our Gradle file. Whoa, easy there, scroll wheel. SCA is looking at our package or our dependencies list and going, hey, you've got Log4j 2.0, and there's a problem in it with let's see, I think it was 2.14, 2.13. You have to upgrade to 2.17. And you went, do I really? But now we just used a DAST scanner to test and see, yeah, you really do. You got a problem here. And you can see some of the information associated with the request and how the application responded. So here's the tricky part. You can't really tell that it did anything from the response from the server, right? This is out-of-band security testing because it made that out-of-band connection. Being able to have this service, that's kind of three-pronged service here that's making these requests, taking another request and polling to say, yeah, that it's a problem. You got to fix it. Is super important to be able to help prioritize. Do I have to fix this? Should I fix this? All that good information. Obviously, if you can, and it's easy to just upgrade the versions, you totally should. But if you have a problem with your tests or something's not broken and you want to go, how much effort do I have to put in this? Part of this is how much risk exists in this outdated library. And testing like this, you can go, yep, it's all risk because I have a vulnerable endpoint that actually takes that information and passes it off to that third party. So I actually have a remote command injection via JNDI problem with my Java and Log4j technology. Look, I got through more than I thought I was going to get through, considering that earlier today, like 10 minutes before the stream, I thought I was going to show you the StackHawk demo. This is the same technology the StackHawk beta is based on. So if you want to be part of the StackHawk beta, take all this configuration and make it and turn it into this, and be able to do it over and over and over again repeatably. Beta@stackhawk.com. Reach out to us. We'll get you on the beta list. We'll have you test it. We'll get some feedback from you. Figure out how to make it awesome in your CI/CD pipeline, wherever it is. Hey, happy Friday, everyone. We talked about Drive to Survive. We talked about Drive to Survive earlier. It's time to go binge watch some Drive to Survive. I hope you all had an awesome week. I hope you joined us for Zapcon. If you didn't, keep an eye, subscribe, like, hit the bell icon. Zapcon videos are coming to this YouTube channel in the next couple of weeks. Make sure you check those out. Awesome content this year, especially if you missed Jim Manico's keynote speech at Zapcon. You gotta come back and watch it. He went through 200 slides. It wasn't 200, it was 140 slides in 20 minutes. Jim Manico, the highest energy man I probably know, went through 140 slides in 20 minutes. You gotta come back and check that out. Everybody, thank you for joining me. If you got questions, drop a comment in the comment box below. Let us know what we can do, how we can help. Give me some ideas. I'd be happy to go through some Zap stuff, some StackHawk stuff. Talk about anything you want to learn about here in relation to DAST or application security kind of in general. I hope you enjoyed my terrible handwriting Miro board today. Live whiteboarding. Again, UPS, old school UPS commercial guy. If you're out there and you want a whiteboard for me for free, I'd be into that because my handwriting's terrible. If not, I'll just keep doing terrible handwriting. I hope you all have a great weekend. Make sure to join us next week for the Friday live stream. I'm Scott Gerlach, CSO, co-founder at StackHawk. Hey, have a great weekend.